The fear of other people's opinions is one of the most subtle and powerful prisons that prevent us from living an authentic life. How many times have you avoided doing something you truly wanted, just because you imagined what others might think? This fear is silent. It creeps in without us noticing, and little by little it shapes our choices, behaviors, and even our dreams. It's like constantly living on a stage, playing a role for an audience that, most of the time, isn't even really paying attention. The irony is precisely that. People are too busy dealing with their own insecurities to care about your life, yet still, you become paralyzed. The fear of judgment works like an emotional parasite that feeds on your most intimate desires, preventing you from experiencing new things, from being spontaneous, from taking risks. You end up molding your life not according to what you want, but according to what you imagine will be socially accepted. The result is an existence guided more by others' expectations than by your own will. Stoic philosophy offers us a powerful way out. We cannot control what others think, but we can and must control how we react to it. It sounds simple, but in practice it requires courage and constant vigilance. It's about relearning how to make decisions based on what makes you feel good, not on what pleases others. This process begins with small actions, saying no to invitations you don't want to accept, dressing the way you like, pursuing a career that resonates with your values and not with external expectations. At first, this movement can generate discomfort, but gradually you begin to free yourself from the need for approval. Remember, living under the yoke of others' opinions is a kind of silent death, a daily renunciation of your own essence. As Carl Jung said, freedom begins the moment you stop caring about what others think of you. This is the key to quietly and firmly eliminating the fear of other people's opinions, and thus making room for a more authentic and fulfilling life. Toxic relationships are one of the most insidious weights we carry in life. Often without realizing it, we maintain connections that drain our energy, cloud our judgment, and erode our sense of self-worth. These relationships can be romantic, familial, friendships, or even professional. The most dangerous aspect is how we become accustomed to them, tolerating behaviors and dynamics that diminish us little by little, as if such toxicity were normal or even necessary. Many times we hold on to these connections out of fear, guilt, or the mistaken belief that cutting ties is an act of cruelty or weakness. But in reality, letting go of a toxic relationship can be the highest expression of self-respect and self-love. The Stoic philosophers teach us an essential principle here. We cannot control how others behave, only how we respond to them. This understanding liberates us from the illusion that we must fix or endure the harmful behaviors of those around us. Eliminating toxic relationships doesn't have to be a dramatic event filled with confrontation and conflict. On the contrary, it can, and often should, be a quiet, deliberate withdrawal of your energy and presence. You don't need to announce it, justify yourself, or seek validation for your choice. Simply stop feeding the relationship with your time, your attention, and your emotional investment. Think of it like tending to a garden. When a plant no longer thrives, sometimes the healthiest thing to do is to stop watering it and make space for what can truly grow. The same applies to people. If every interaction with someone leaves you emotionally depleted, anxious, or doubting yourself, that is a signal you should not ignore. Pay attention to how your body and mind react to certain individuals. If you feel a knot in your stomach when you see their name pop up, or if spending time with them exhausts you, that is valuable information. The key is to detach with clarity and peace, not out of resentment, but out of love for your own well-being. Reducing or ending these connections silently allows you to reclaim your energy and direct it towards relationships that nourish and support you. In the end, letting go of toxic relationships is not about being cold or indifferent. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to continue a cycle that harms you. As with everything important in life, it is done in silence, with conviction, and above all, with the certainty that you are choosing yourself. Letting go of the need for approval is one of the most liberating steps you can take toward personal freedom. From a young age, we are conditioned to seek validation from others, parents, teachers, peers, and eventually society at large. This desire for approval shapes many of our decisions, behaviors, and even our self-image. We start measuring our worth based on external opinions, likes, compliments, and recognition. However, living this way is exhausting. It chains your sense of happiness and fulfillment to forces beyond your control, leaving you constantly anxious about whether you are good enough, liked enough, or successful enough in the eyes of others. The Stoics remind us that the only true approval that matters is our own. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This paradox captures the essence of the struggle. Why should the fleeting and often uninformed opinions of others outweigh your own inner judgment? When you are guided by a need for approval, you hand over the reins of your life to others. Your choices become about pleasing them, rather than honoring your own values, goals, and desires. Letting go of this need is not about becoming indifferent or antisocial. It is about grounding your self-worth in your own integrity and principles, rather than in the unpredictable judgments of the external world. This requires a deep internal shift, from seeking validation to cultivating self-respect. It means making peace with the fact that not everyone will like you, agree with you, or understand you, and that's perfectly fine. Their approval is not a prerequisite for your happiness or success. Practically, this detachment manifests as no longer obsessively checking for feedback, no longer altering your actions to fit others' expectations, and no longer fearing disapproval as if it were a personal failure. It means recognizing that others' opinions are a reflection of their own experiences, biases, and projections, not a definitive statement about your worth. The more you embrace this truth, the quieter your mind becomes, free from the noise of imagined judgments and unnecessary comparisons. Ultimately, the silent act of letting go of the need for approval allows you to walk your own path with confidence and authenticity. It is a quiet, invisible victory. No one will applaud you for it, and that is precisely the point. You no longer need them to. Saying no without guilt is a profound act of self-respect and boundary setting. Many people struggle with this simple word because they fear rejection, conflict, or disappointing others. From childhood, we are often taught that being agreeable and accommodating is virtuous, while refusing a request is selfish or rude. As a result, we develop an automatic reflex to say yes, even when we mean no, sacrificing our time, energy, and sometimes our well-being to meet others' expectations. But every time you say yes to something that does not align with your priorities or values, you are effectively saying no to something else, often your own needs, rest, creative pursuits, or personal goals. Learning to say no without guilt is essential to living with integrity and authenticity. It is an affirmation that your time and energy are finite resources, and you have the right and responsibility to allocate them in ways that serve your highest purpose. This does not mean becoming cold, dismissive, or unkind. Saying no gracefully is an art. It involves being clear and firm while remaining compassionate and respectful. For example, you might say, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now." Or, "I appreciate the offer, but I need to focus on other priorities." Notice how these responses honor both your needs and the other person's dignity. The guilt associated with saying no usually arises from a misplaced sense of obligation or fear of being judged as selfish. However, self-care is not selfish. It is necessary. When you set healthy boundaries, you not only protect your own well-being, but also show up more fully and authentically in your relationships and commitments. People who respect you will understand and even admire your clarity and self-respect. In truth, every no creates space for a more intentional yes. It empowers you to focus on what truly matters, rather than scattering your energy across countless obligations that drain and distract you. Saying no without guilt is a quiet declaration of sovereignty over your own life. It is a skill that, once mastered, becomes a cornerstone of personal freedom and inner peace. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior or forgetting past wounds. Rather, it is a conscious choice to release resentment, anger, and the desire for revenge. Many people misunderstand forgiveness as something that benefits the wrongdoer, but in truth it is an act of profound self-liberation. When you hold on to resentment, you keep yourself emotionally tethered to the person or event that caused you pain. This ongoing attachment can fester, leading to chronic stress, bitterness, and even physical illness. To forgive is to acknowledge the hurt, accept that the past cannot be changed, and then choose to release the emotional burden. It is an inner process that does not require reconciliation or even communication with the offender. You can forgive someone quietly, within your own heart, as a way to reclaim your peace and free yourself from the grip of suffering. Forgiveness is also an act of self-compassion. It means recognizing that carrying resentment does not protect you. It only prolongs your pain. Letting go does not make you weak. It makes you strong, because it requires courage to face your wounds honestly and to choose healing over victimhood. In this sense, forgiveness is not a single event but an ongoing practice. Some hurts are so deep that they must be forgiven over and over, layer by layer, until the emotional charge gradually dissipates. Moreover, forgiveness does not mean you have to tolerate abusive behavior or maintain relationships that are harmful. Healthy boundaries and forgiveness can coexist. You can forgive someone for their actions while choosing to distance yourself to protect your well-being. This distinction is crucial. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself, not absolving others of accountability. Ultimately, forgiveness allows you to reclaim your power. It transforms you from a passive victim of circumstance into an active participant in your own healing. By letting go of resentment, you open space in your heart for compassion, joy, and new possibilities. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, a gift of freedom, peace, and emotional resilience. Eliminate quietly this obsessive need to control everything. Make space for the unexpected, for surprises, for what is beyond your reach. This doesn't mean you should just sit back and watch life pass by. It's about letting go of the burden and accepting that part of the path doesn't depend on you. And you know what? That is liberating. Remember, sometimes letting go is the most powerful way to take control. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, the true control lies in the ability to let go of what is uncontrollable. Think about it. How much energy have you wasted trying to manage things that were never yours to manage? That conversation you keep replaying in your head, that outcome you wish you could steer. But here's the truth. No amount of overthinking will change what is beyond your power. All it does is exhaust you. The Stoics mastered this mindset. They taught that you should focus only on what you can control. Your thoughts, your actions, your reactions. Everything else, it belongs to the universe. So the next time you feel that familiar urge to micromanage life, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, is this really within my control? If the answer is no, then practice the art of silent elimination. Quietly let it go. No dramatic declarations. No need to announce it to the world. Just release it. It's not giving up. It's freeing up space. Space for creativity, for joy, for peace, and most importantly, for presence. When you stop trying to grip everything with clenched fists, you realize how much lighter your journey can be. Because at the end of the day, life is not about controlling the storm, but about learning how to sail through it. Not everything you do needs to be explained, defended, or rationalized to others. Some choices are yours alone, and that's enough. Have you noticed how much energy goes into justifying your actions? How often you feel compelled to explain why you didn't go to that event, why you left that job, why you ended that relationship, why you changed your mind. It's exhausting, but here's a quiet truth. You don't owe everyone an explanation. This doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. It means recognizing that your life is yours to live, not a public relations campaign. The need to justify often comes from fear of judgment, of rejection, of disappointing others. But eliminating this habit means reclaiming your autonomy. You can simply say no, or that's not for me, or sometimes say nothing at all. The moment you stop compulsively explaining yourself is the moment you step more fully into your own authority. As the philosopher Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That's the price sometimes, letting people misunderstand you, letting them form their own narratives while you quietly live your truth. Not justifying everything doesn't make you cold, it makes you sovereign. So next time you feel that itch, to explain your decision in painstaking detail, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I want connection and clarity, or because I'm afraid of not being liked? If it's the latter, consider practicing silent elimination. No announcement, no defense, just a quiet boundary. Because your life is not a debate, it's an experience. There's this seductive illusion we all carry, that someday, in the not-so-distant future, we'll finally arrive. The inbox will be empty, the house perfectly organized, the body in peak condition, the mind clear, the relationship smooth, the to-do list finally crossed off in its entirety. And then, we'll rest. We'll be happy. We'll finally live. But that day doesn't exist. Life doesn't work like that. There is no finish line where everything is complete, all loose ends tied up, and no further effort is required. The fantasy of done is just that, a fantasy. Quietly eliminating this illusion is freeing. When you let go of the idea that one day it will all be handled, you stop postponing your peace for some future version of yourself. You stop thinking, once I get through this week, this project, this season, then I'll relax, then I'll enjoy. Instead, you start asking, how can I make space for life now, even in the middle of the mess? You stop waiting to live. The laundry will always return. New emails will keep coming. Your mind will always generate new worries, new goals, new ideas. There is no permanent state of completion, but there can be a permanent state of presence. Eliminating this fantasy doesn't mean giving up on progress or ambition. It means refusing to postpone your aliveness until some imaginary future. The path is ongoing. The work is ongoing. The becoming is ongoing, and that's okay. So instead of chasing done, consider chasing here, right now. We've all heard of FOMO, the fear of missing out, that anxious tug when we see others traveling, succeeding, partying, achieving, and we wonder if we're falling behind, missing something essential. But what about JOMO, the joy of missing out? There's a quiet, often underrated pleasure in realizing that you don't need to be everywhere, do everything, or know everything. That you can let life happen beyond your awareness, beyond your participation, and it's perfectly fine. You don't have to attend every event, keep up with every trend, or weigh in on every debate. The world spins on without your constant engagement, and that's a relief, not a loss. The joy of missing out is the joy of reclaiming your time and attention for what truly nourishes you. It's the freedom to say, I don't need to know. I don't need to go. I don't need to prove. It's trusting that your life is enough as it is, that you don't need to cram it full of experiences just to feel valid. It's discovering the richness of doing less, going slower, opting out. Missing out on things doesn't mean you're lacking. It means you're choosing. Consciously, intentionally, in alignment with what matters most to you. JOMO is about finding peace in your presence, not your participation. It's about realizing that fulfillment doesn't come from the sheer volume of what you experience, but from the depth with which you experience whatever you choose. So next time you feel that little ache of FOMO, pause and ask, do I really want that? Or do I just feel like I should? What do I gain by opting out? Sometimes the answer is space, sometimes it's rest, sometimes it's freedom, and all of those are worth celebrating. How many times have you told yourself, I'll do it when I'm ready, when I'm more confident, when I've learned enough, When the timing is right, we wait for readiness like it's some magical threshold we'll cross, suddenly fearless, fully prepared, completely assured. But here's the truth. Readiness is a myth. You rarely feel ready before you do the thing. You feel ready because you've done the thing. Confidence doesn't precede action, it grows through it. Clarity doesn't come from thinking alone. It comes from moving forward even when you're unsure. Waiting to feel 100% ready is often a disguised form of fear. It's our mind's clever way of keeping us safe, avoiding risk, protecting us from the possibility of failure, rejection, or discomfort. But not ready is not a reason to stop. It's simply a signal that you're about to enter new territory, stretch, grow, change, and of course that feels scary. Of course it feels unfamiliar, but that's also where the magic happens. Most of the people you admire didn't feel fully ready when they started. They took the leap anyway with shaky hands and a racing heart. They trusted that they would figure it out along the way. And they did. You will too. So when you catch yourself waiting for readiness, ask, am I truly unprepared, or am I just afraid? What's one small step I could take anyway? The truth is, you become ready by beginning, not the other way around.